A search for answers hours after shots rang out at the White House Correspondents' dinner at the Washington Hilton. The gala, attended by President Donald Trump and other top officials and members of the media, was interrupted by loud bangs. Mr. Trump and the First Lady Melania were immediately evacuated from the stage. The rest of the room locked down, with guests seen crouching under tables. Speaking to the media after the incident, President Trump noted that this is not the first attempt on his life in recent years. He even praised the media coverage of the incident, calling it responsible.
Nobody told me this was such a dangerous profession. If Marco would have told me, maybe I wouldn't have run. Maybe I would have said, I'll take a pass. No, it's a dangerous profession, but I don't view it that way. Look, I'm here to do a job. It's part of the job. It is a dangerous, I can't imagine that there's any profession that's more dangerous. But I love the country, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the job.
Officials say the suspect fired at a Secret Service agent while trying to run into the ballroom where the dinner was held before being apprehended by agents. Both the suspect and the agent are currently being evaluated in a hospital. Authorities have identified the suspect as 31-year-old Cole Tomas Allen. According to his social media profiles, he works as a part-time teacher and game developer. Federal agents have raided Allen's home near Los Angeles. D.C. police say he will be brought before a court on Monday on firearms and assault charges. And for more, we have Simon Marks for CNN Live from Washington, D.C. Simon, thank you for joining us. Now, what else do we know about the suspect?
Well, we're learning more about the investigation into 31-year-old Cole Tomas Allen, who comes from Torrance in California. According to the acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, search warrants were executed at his home on the West Coast. They now believe that he traveled by train from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. via Chicago, that he may have been staying in the Hilton Hotel where last night's White House Correspondents Association dinner was being held. They believe that he purchased 2 firearms over the course of the last couple of years, and they believe that he was targeting administration officials. Indeed, there are reports that he told investigators that he was planning to target senior officials, unnamed officials, within President Trump's inner circle. Apparently, there were some writings recovered as part of this investigation by the suspect. The acting attorney general said that he believes the suspect was targeting the president. And we now know more details of the preliminary charges that are being brought against him, according to the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., Jeanine Pirro, who was one of the guests at the dinner last night. He's facing 2 federal charges immediately, one of using a firearm during a violent crime, the other of assaulting a federal officer with a dangerous weapon. But she said that this person aimed to inflict as much harm and destruction as possible, and made it clear that there is definitely the possibility of additional charges being brought against him as the investigation proceeds.
Now, Simon, we saw the chaotic scenes at the dinner. What more can you tell us from the witnesses on the ground?
Well, look, I think it's important to underscore that the President of the United States, the Vice President, the First Lady, the Secretary of State, indeed, the 2,000 guests gathered in that ballroom for that event were not themselves in any danger, because the ballroom is in the basement of the hotel. The gunman tried to charge through a metal detector on the ground floor level of the hotel, and that's where he was stopped and confronted by Secret Service and other agents with firearms who brought the threat to proceedings to an end. So he wasn't anywhere near the ballroom. He was on a floor above it in a hotel that, of course, has historical form in terms of presidential assassination efforts, because it is the hotel where John Hinckley Jr. Attempted to kill President Ronald Reagan many years ago. There are questions now being asked about the security operation at the hotel last night. There were no magnetometers outside at the front door of the hotel. Instead, you could just walk into the hotel, and if you weren't attending the White House Correspondents' dinner down in the ballroom, you could go about your business everywhere else in the hotel without going through any kind of security screening, which seems to be, on the face of it, an extraordinary lapse and something that definitely is going to fuel investigations, underscored as they will be by the fact that the suspect may himself even have been a guest at the hotel.
Well, many thanks for that update. That was Simon Marks covering developments for CNA Live from Washington, D.C.